Welcome to the Through the Lane podcast. Starting off, it's going to be a long episode, like really long. A lot is happening, baseball, basketball, football wise. Starting off, Mutombo died this morning at the age of 58, I think, of brain cancer, and so very sad day in the NBA world. He's like a five-time. Let me look up. Dikembe Mutombo. He's like a five-time All-Star. One of the best shot blockers to ever play. Dude was crazy. Wonderful guy. Very friendly. Played 18 seasons. His stats aren't going to pop. Oh, there they are. He was an 8-time All-Star, Hall of Famer, 3-time All-NBA, 6-time All-Defensive, 3-time block champ. Dude was crazy. His career average is 10 points. How many blocks? Well, 10 rebounds and 3 blocks. It's crazy. His career high was 4.5. Career high in points was 16.6. Career high in rebounds is 14.1. Dude was insane. Sad to see him go. Funny guy whenever he was on TV. But moving forward, there's a news breaking trade. Karl-Anthony Towns got traded to the Knicks. I'm going to speak about this deal. He got traded for Donte DiVincenzo and Julius Randle and a first-round pick via Detroit. Daquan Jeffries goes to the Hornets. And I think the Hornets give up, like, second-round picks. Yeah. I think they give up, like, a second-round pick. Daquan Jeffries was traded to help get the deal under. Now, get the Knicks under the cap. Now, this deal isn't finished yet. But it's been a few days. It pretty much is. They got to wait. And I don't like this for either team because Karl-Anthony Towns isn't a grit and grind type of player. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like, he's one of the better three-point shooting big men in the league. He's a great offensive player. But he's just not I don't think he can play those minutes for the Knicks like they want him to. And so, I just don't think he can hold up. I mean, he gets hurt all the time. Not all the time, but decent bit. And then you look at it from the Timberwolves side. Okay, Donte DiVincenzo, okay, I guess he's going to be your seventh man. Because really your bench is getting kind of light. You need 7 guys to play. Behind, and Naz Reid. Julius Randle starting beside Rudy Gobert, that's not good. It's like, that does not match well. It made more sense if they had drafted a power forward, but they didn't. Are you going to put, my opinion, you put Donte DiVincenzo at the 3 at small forward, put Jaden McDaniels at the 4, and Julius Randle help come off the bench. Because Julius Randle starting beside Rudy Gobert is not going to go well. Julius Randle isn't even going to start the year healthy. I just don't like it. And for the Knicks, you break up the Nova 4. Donte DiVincenzo was a scrappy guard. Clutch shooter. His brother did so much for your team and you trade him away like that. And to the Timberwolves, you do that, a guy that gave so much to your team and to the city and you trade him away like that is insane. I would have given up Rudy Gobert because I don't think Rudy Gobert long-term is a good fit. This doesn't maximize. Now, yes, it does clear up cap space, but why are you looking towards the future? Right now, you are pretty darn good. Right now, you're title contenders. Yes, you got to do a little bit of both, but giving up an all-star, 20-point-per-game scorer for a guy who probably will only score 12 points per game, and then another guy that'll score 12 points per game. Julius Randle is a mid-defender at best. He is a diva. It just doesn't. I don't like it. Apparently, Donte DiVincenzo wasn't going to be happy with his minimized role, which is fair because of all that he did for the team. And so I don't blame him for that. But at the same time, it's kind of ridiculous, like, that they traded him. Because you can Josh Hart should be your 6th man. Mikal play the 3. Donte play the 2. OG play the 4. And then there you go. Cat also isn't that big of a defensive center. Like, he's not that good defensively as a center. He's a better defensive power forward because of his size. So putting him at the center spot, it's just not going to go well. And I know Tibbs coached him early in his career, but those teams weren't that good, like, at all. So what now? Again, you're losing some of your character, your grit and grind that you had with Dante. You bring in Cat, Big Purr, as he's called. And you also bring up the kid in Minnesota. You bring up the chemistry from Ant and Cat. Those two guys were like brothers. Ant even said it. It just doesn't go down well. I see it sadly working out more for the Knicks because you had a 20-point per game scorer. And anything's going to be better than Julius Randle. But I don't think it works out well for the Timberwolves. I mean, Julius Randle's going to have to go at some point. I see them trading him down the line. And Dante DiVincenzo, now you have an abundance of wings because you have Nickeil Walker-Alexander. You just drafted Rob Dillingham and Terrence Shannon. I just don't like the move. I don't think it was good. I mean, let me look at the Timberwolves. Because, yeah, you have Nickeil Walker-Alexander, PJ Dozier, Joe Ingles. Like, what are we doing now? Yes, you get a little bit deeper. But, like, again, power forward is still an issue. Unless you put Julius Randle off the bench. Also, what overwhelmed the Nuggets last year was that three-big combo of Cat, Naz Reid, and Rudy Gobert. They couldn't handle it. Well, now you take one out. And, Julius Randle is not a big man. He is not a big. If he was more athletic, he'd probably play small forward. So, again, you take down weapons. It's just a backwards move for hopefully the long term. It's kind of shenanigans you see in baseball. Where it's like, well, down the line, it's like, dude, who cares? 4 years from now, you had the chance to win now. Now, yeah, you trade Cat 2 years from now, go ahead, because his contract kicks in this year. So, like, either way, it doesn't change, and you maximize your window. Then when you're ready, you just trade him. You bring in a bad contract. I mean, that's what Julius Randle is. I'm shocked Julius Randle got traded for that much. You bring in a future first round pick. Those, you don't know what you're going to get from that pick. Bring in Dante DiVincenzo, who I think you insert as a starting small forward. Put Jaden McDaniels at 4, Rudy Gobert at 5. That's the best thing you can do. Because in the West, there's not many big fours. Like, you have Aaron Gordon. You have, who else? Jalen Williams. Trying to think of other top contenders. I mean, the Warriors, you have Kuminga, Draymond. Clippers, I mean, we don't know what the Clippers lineup is going to look like. Dallas, we don't know what their four is going to look like. Phoenix is probably Kevin Durant. I mean, New Orleans has a big four. Los Angeles, no. I mean, so you can get away with that, having a smaller forward. Now, when you go to the East, it's going to be an issue. As someone pointed this out, this move for Cat helps you counteract the Celtics because you can match them now. For size, and talent for talent. Mitchell Robinson at times is unplayable offensively because he's just getting outmanned. And I think he's better in a Kevon Looney backup role, like how Kevon Looney was with the Warriors when he was playing the backup center and he's kind of rotating in, switchable center. I don't think he's as good as Kevon Looney, but it's just because he's taller than Kevon that he gets more play. That might be the move. I just don't like it. The Hornets, you bring in Daquan Jeffries, it's not going to hurt you. The Knicks, you're giving up more picks, so if this doesn't work out, it goes bad. You give up a long-term player, Dante DiVincenzo, who wanted to be in New York, Villanova guy, New York guy. Give him up. Julius Randle, like when Carmine was on here, we talked about how he's most definitely going to go. I think if they do good without Julius Randle to start the season, he comes off the bench. And then you have Nasri, Julius Randle, Nickel Walker, and Rob Dillingham bringing up the second unit. Because, again, there's no real backup point guard. I mean, Deshaun Nix, maybe. Also, at the same time, Josh Minot was talked about getting more playing time. Leonard Miller, you blocked some guys from getting more playing time. I mean, Joe Ingles will probably come off the bench, probably be the, offensive initiator. I just don't. I didn't like that deal when it came out. I thought it was huge. I thought it was dumb. Just was not a big fan of it. I think it was just a misplay, a mistrade, both sides. I mean, there's no really, I get it, hypothetically, but again, what made the Knicks team was so elite was partially the grit that came with those guys, Dante, Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, OG, and whoever was playing at the center spot. And then Dante DiVincenzo's catch and shoot ability. I mean, you lose a massive catch and shooter. Now, yes, Cat's going to be out there, but also Cat, if he's going to play, he can't play 48 minutes a game, he gets in massive foul trouble. So again, how are you going to counteract that? I think the Knicks won it because they're going to be better with Cat. I just don't like it at all. I just don't think they'll go much further. I think this is a step back for the Timberwolves. The trade made no sense at all. Like zero. Now, we're going to move to baseball, and it's going to be a little bit longer. Baseball postseason starts tomorrow, but right now, I have this game pulled up. There's a doubleheader going on between the Braves and the Mets. Mets won game one, and it just bamboozling. The Braves were up 3-0. Schwallenbach I'll go in that in a second. So the Braves and the Mets both win one of the games in the doubleheader today. They both make the postseason. If the Braves get swept, Arizona's in. It was a balking by MLB to let this happen in this way because you kind of shaft Arizona. Now, Arizona should have beat the Padres into the regular season to lock themselves in, but they didn't. So you look at this, and it's kind of... So Schwallenbach went 7 innings, K5, 3 hits. Great. Then he allows a double in the start of the 8th. They bring in Joe Jimenez. Joe Jimenez sucks. Terrible. Then you bring in Raisel Iglesias, and he gives up a 3-run homer. And now it's 6-3. And it's bad. Bummer comes in, closes the 8th. Then the Braves score 4 runs in the 8th inning. It's now 7-6. Pierce Johnson then comes in and tries to close the door. Mind you, he's never been that good of a closer. Allows 2 more runs. It's 8-7, and the Braves just can't do anything. Braves they got on base a good bit, but they kept leaving runners on base. And it started coming out right after that game's in. Chris Sale, who's probably going to win the Cy Young, had a shot at the Triple Crown, has back spasms, cannot play, has not pitched in 12 days. His last start, his velo was down. And so now, Grant Holmes is starting game 2, and a must-win game for the Braves. Now he's gone, he's allowed, no hits, 7 Ks in 4 innings. He can't go that deep because he pitched yesterday for an inning and 2/3. The Braves are up 1-0. But again, they blew it. And so in game 1, to where they could have rested guys, Grant Holmes starts game 2. And then, they cruise through. Now, I think the Braves can win this. They got to pounce on Joe Lucchesi. The fact that it's 4 innings, we're almost 4 innings through, and, it's only 1-0, and Joe Lucchesi coming into this had a 10 ERA is abysmal. It's just, and they've only allowed to give, scored 1 run, got 2 hits, drawn 2 walks though, but still, if this Braves team makes it, because I'm a Braves fan, this is going to be insane by the Braves, and I'll break them down later on, and I'll break down some of my own teams in a later episode. There probably won't be a Monday episode next week because my birthday's on Monday, and right now, I don't know when this episode will come out because I've got a massive exam and homework to do, so it's going to be a hectic week. Loriano just walked. So it's 1 on, 1 out, bottom of the 4th. Lucchesi's probably going to get pulled after this inning, and we've got to hope that we beat up their bullpen. Right now, Edwin Diaz threw almost 40 pitches, maybe more, so he is going to be out. Their closer, used to be one of the better closers in the league at one time. Right now, we just need a home run to go up 3-0 because Grant Holmes can't go deep, but can't go deep in the game because he pitched yesterday. And the Braves, the guys that they have, the left pitcher, Jesse Chavez, Dansby Hernandez, Luke Jackson, Dylan Lee, maybe Ronaldo Lopez, if you're like, hey, I need you right now it's winning or nothing, we need you. Pitch out of the bullpen. But Raisel Iglesias and Joe Jimenez pitched less than 10 innings earlier today. So, again, they can go and pitch again. But, do you want to? You've got to, just shut the door on this. I think the Braves blew it, earlier today. It's just massive. I mean, you had the lead twice. Joe Casey's about to walk Gio Urshela, and you blow it. I mean, you just massively blow it. Blow the lead twice. Joe Jimenez sucked. Pierce Johnson struggled. Raisel Iglesias, I mean, you put him in a bad spot. He's going to have to go 2 innings. That was going to be rough for him. Now the Braves, they walked Gio Urshela. So Sean Murphy, I mean, this Braves lineup, man, they've been hurt. You've got Ronald Acuna, who tears his ACL. Spencer Strider, who tears his UCL. Michael Harris misses a bunch of time. Ozzie Albies missed most of the year. Austin Riley's missed the last half of the season. Kelenic struggled. Murphy missed a lot of time. I mean, you look at this, and it's like Fried missed some time. Ronaldo's been on the IL twice. AJ Minter's out. Ian Anderson didn't start the season. Just a long list of guys where you're just like, wow. I mean, what could go wrong for the Braves did go wrong. Chris Sale now with his back back spasms. Luke Casey's probably going to get pulled out of the game. But, Chris Sale with back spasms now. Schwallenbach has been the saving grace for the Braves this year. Not Darno. Duvall has sucked. But, Schwallenbach, pitching 123 innings, striking out, having a 3.35 ERA. Mind you, he did not pitch, but 2 starts above double A. He did not touch triple A. Guy's playing his second full season coming off of Tommy John. He gave him everything he could. They muffed it. It's a shame, but we're going to talk about the postseason. Postseason's wide open right now. So, as of now, the Mets are in. If they win, they play San Diego. If they lose, they play Milwaukee. We're going to start in the AL. The AL is more wide open because there's teams with a lot of holes. Like the Guardians, great, amazing bullpen. The bullpen's insane. Emmanuel Clase is having an all-time great season as a closer. Cade Smith, as a rookie, has under 2 ERA, and he's been insane. Hunter Gaddis converting from a starter to a reliever has a 2 ERA. He's been insane. I'll pull up their bullpen. Look them up here. This bullpen has been insane. They also had a lot of injuries. Tristan McKenzie went down. He didn't really go down, but he struggled. But yeah, Tim Herron, 1.92 ERA. Nick Sandlin, great season. Pedro Avila, great season. Eli Morgan was really good. They called up Eric Sabrowski, and he's been elite. Andrew Walters has been good. You look at this. Sam Hedges was good. The elite bullpen. The starting rotation's a little bit of a struggle, and the way that they'll probably go to start the wild card will probably be Tanner Bybee, Ben Lively, and then you're looking at it here. You really hope it doesn't get to Game 3, but Gavin Williams, Matthew Boyd will probably start Game 2, and then you put Ben Lively starting Game 3. Gavin Williams, he had a shoulder issue to start the year. He has not looked that good. Tristan McKenzie, who's supposed to be the ace of the team, he had an elbow injury last year, and it doesn't look like he recovered properly. Lost velo, lost control. Logan Allen has not been what he was last year. But yeah, that's probably your starting 3 going into that game. Their lineup's stacked. You had Josh Naylor, who hit 31 home runs. Jose Ramirez hit 39 home runs. And then they have a lot of... Stephen Kwan's batting almost 300. They just hit the ball really well. Decent bit of power. This is a lineup you can't sleep on this lineup because at any second they will explode and go off on you. Emmanuel Clase, how many saves? Emmanuel Clase has 47 saves. He's pitched. This bullpen has been worn down, but I still think they're going to go nuts. Tanner Bybee being your Game 1 starter, he hasn't pitched in the playoffs before. Matthew Boyd hasn't pitched, I don't think ever, because he was with the Tigers for a while. And then Ben Lively, who is on the resurgence after having to go to Korea for a bit. But, they've got a bye, actually. So they don't pitch in the wild card. So, looking at the first wild card team, it's going to be the Tigers. And man, the first series we're going to look at is the Tigers. And man, oh man. They had like a 0.2% chance to make the postseason early August, and then they lock it in. The Twins had an epic collapse of the ages. So looking at the Tigers, they call up Spencer Torkelson, who was the former number 1 overall pick. Struggled the first half of the year, looked good second half. He hit the ball well. Why is it not? Oh. But yeah, Torkelson, Cole Keith has done really well. Riley Green looking amazing. Parker Meadows, since getting called back up, has been a great center fielder. Justin Henry Malloy has slugged well. Matt Vierling has been good. Kerry Carpenter has been great. Trey Sweeney's been solid. Jace Young has been solid. But it's the rotation for me. Tariq Skubal is probably the AL Cy Young Award winner. He's just been nasty. The only guy that's challenging Chris Sale for the Triple Crown. But so the starters are probably going to go Tariq Skubal. After that, that's where you're like, ugh. I guess you go Reese Olson, who's been pretty good, but again, I don't want him as my Game 2 starter. And then either Casey Mize or Keter Montero. Unless you go mix of a bullpen game. Matt Manny's not been what they were hoping he would be to kind of solidify the rotation. They sold at the deadline, too. They traded away Jack Flaherty, and I feel like someone else, because they didn't expect to be that good in the team. As a good head coach in most sports, but a manager in this, he challenged the team and said, how bad do you want it? Do you want to make you want to turn some heads, right? You want to make some noise, and they did that. They went on an insane run. The bullpen's pretty good. Jason Foley is a nasty reliever. Tyler Holton, who could probably start Game 3, has been elite. Will Vest has been great. Bio Brisky has been solid. Brent Herter, in a mix of a bulk starter way, has been good. I'll also put down at the start of the episode when you want to go to football. And I'll put it there because some people won't want to listen to baseball. Jack Jobe, their top pitching prospect, is good. He's done solid. Ty Madden. They still have Alec Lange, who was the original closer. This is a stacked bullpen. It'll be interesting to see who they have start Game 3. It'd either be Casey Mize or Keter Montero, maybe a mix. Kenta Maeda is probably going to be a long reliever. Because he just had, they also traded Andrew Chafin, who's pretty darn good. It'll be interesting to see who pitches. And, Brandon Hanfrey has been pretty darn good for them. I think I said that his name right. Shane Gunther has been pretty good. This team, it's a scrappy team. It's either going to go 3 games or they're going to get swept in the first 2. There's no two ways about it. The Mets just got their first hit. This is either going to go 2 ways. Oh, brother. But the Houston team, going to Houston, the Astros, if I can spell it right, Lord. There we go. They had they were bad to start the year. And then they come around, first base is rough for them. The outfield, there's a lot of guys hurt. We don't know if Kyle Tucker will come back. I don't know if he said it says he's back on here, so he might be. Victor Carantini, they brought in Jason Hayward. But we're mainly going to focus starting rotations here. We'll talk about lineups when we do recovery of the, next week or at some point, right? There'll probably be an episode like Sunday because so far I'm off Sunday and probably be an episode then. But starting Game 1, it'll probably be Framber Valdez. He's been great this year. He had a rough year last year, but he's been elite. Game 2, be Hunter Brown because he's had a strong second half of the season. And then Game 3, you'd have to go Verlander here. Royal Blanco has been the saving grace of this rotation throughout the whole season, a 2.8 ERA. But Justin Verlander is a Hall of Famer, multi-time Cy Young Award winner. He's just you've got to go with the experience, and have Spencer Arrigati, who has had a great second half of the season, and Royal Blanco, kind of come out of the bullpen. Their bullpen's hit or miss though. Brian Abreu's been great as usual. Josh Hader has struggled a little bit. He's got a 3.8 ERA. He has 34 saves, 105 strikeouts. But at the same time, Ryan Presley struggled a little bit. He looks like he's having a better second half of the season. Strikeout rate's still not where you want it to be. Also, they've used Yusei Kikuchi. It's going to be so. Like looking at this, you have 5 guys to start 3 games: Framber, Hunter, Roel, Verlander, Yusei Kikuchi, who has had a 2.7 ERA in the 10 games since he got brought over. He looks great. Their bullpen's not deep. I mean, not deep at all. But if Jordan isn't healthy, I'd go. I mean, the experience is crazy, but it's going to be. I think the series goes 3 games. It might go the Tigers' way, and then Tigers play their division rival in the Guardians. So the Mets have 2-1 with 0 outs. What's his name? Holmes walked 2, or he had walked 1, a lot of hit. Man, now Dansby's coming in. Dansby Hernandez. This is where the game can get out of hand. I'm not looking. Are they pitch hitting Taylor Trammell? No, they're not. Okay. It's like, wow. This is where it can get out of hand. They don't capitalize on Joey Lucchesi when they needed to. And so they're probably going to lose, and it's a shame. But for the other wild card game, Kansas City Royals play the Orioles. The Royals, it's great to see them back, and Bobby Witt Jr. is probably the best shortstop in baseball right now. I mean, you look at his batting average, 332. He has a 977 OPS. Dude's been insane. He has 31 home runs. 32 home runs, 31 stolen bases. This lineup is not deep. Like outside, once you get to like the 3rd spot, and that's if Vinny Pasquantino plays in the wild card. If not, it's like the 3rd. Once you get past the top 3, it's not that good of a lineup. A lot of hit and miss. That this team isn't that good. But the starting 3 guys is going to be great. They've got 4 guys that can start. Seth Lugo, Cy Young contender. Cole Reagan's been insane, one of the better left-handers in baseball. Brady Singer's had a pretty good season, bounce-back season, but then Michael Wacha, a 3.35 ERA. You might want to go with the experience to start Game 3, especially with Cole Reagan, who's never really played in a playoff game, pitching Game 2. If he blows it, you put a veteran on the mound. Brady Singer can come out of the bullpen, and then Alec Marks definitely can come out of the bullpen. So is Michael Lorenzen. Chris Bubik, since coming back from Tommy John's, a former starter, has been great for the bullpen. Daniel Lynch has been really good for the bullpen. Lucas Eric, they brought him over from the Athletics. Has got 11 saves, been great for them. This bullpen, I mean, it's very spotty. It's not been that good this year. The top 3 of the top 5 guys in their bullpen are down with injuries. Nick Anderson, I think they just cut for like no reason, which was kind of crazy because he had a 4.4 ERA. His FIP was pretty high, but this is a team that like I don't know how they're gonna now. Definitely next year, this team is gonna be like, and they're gonna spend more money, of course. They're gonna get another bat or 2, and probably 1 more reliever because they have Hunter Harvey, who was supposed to be that big guy, but he went down with injury. Will Smith is hurt. Chris Stratton's hurt. James McArthur's hurt. So, I mean, it's not that deep of a bullpen. This team is not deep right now. Dansby struck out Tyrone Taylor. Double plays and play, but if he throws sliders off the plate, then it's not going to be. But, I think the Orioles sweep them, or it goes 3. Because this Orioles lineup, I mean, they just got most of their guys back. They have Adley Rutschman, probably the best catcher in baseball. Jackson Holliday, who probably won't play much, but He's one of the better up and coming young guys. Gunnar Henderson, he's probably the second or third best shortstop in baseball. Probably forgetting somebody. Who had 37 home runs, 92 RBIs, 21 steals. Had almost a 900 OPS. Colton Cowser, probably the AL Rookie of the Year. He has 24 home runs. And then Anthony Santander, who has 44 home runs, 102 RBIs. Jordan Westburg, who has been great for them. They lost a lot without him. And then they also have Kirsten Kierstead, who can hit the ball hard. Austin Slater. I mean, this offense is deep, 1 through 9. Like 1 through 9, it is insane. The only hole I would guess would be like maybe Ramon Urias. Maybe Ryan O'Hearn. Maybe 6. Like it's like 6 through 9. The bottom 3, which of course is probably going to be where the weaker spot is. But again, that's pretty darn good. He struck out the second guy. But looking at the rotation, I mean, man, this rotation, they had 3 guys go down with Tommy Johns. Kyle Bradish came back from a UCL sprain, has to have Tommy Johns. John Means just came back from his own Tommy Johns, has to get his own. The starting rotation, though, probably for the first 3 games, is probably going to be like Corbin Burns, Zach Eflin, and then Dean Kramer. Cade Popovich has been fantastic. Not fantastic. He has a 5.2 ERA, but it's had a great few weeks. They cut Craig Kimbrell. It was supposed to be the closer, while Felix Bautista, the best closer in baseball, has been hurt. Grayson Rodriguez is down. So, I mean, really they have 4 starters. I think Cade Popovich comes out of the bullpen. Albert Suarez will probably be a long reliever, too. But bullpen-wise, they've got one of the better bullpens. Jacob Webb's been great. Yenier Cano, again, backing up last year, been great. Keegan Atkin, been great. Colonel Perez throws gas. Danny Columbide's been great when healthy. Sir Anthony Dominguez, who's pretty much the closer now, been great with the team. Well, he has under a 4 ERA, but since he's took over the closing spot, been great. Outside of that, I mean, it's kind of short, but I mean, pretty much what happens is teams whose starters don't play, who are going to be starting, they just put in the bullpen and then have them. Okay. So we had a mistake on there. But they pretty much put those starters in the bullpen, they throw harder, and they can cover more innings. And so, yeah, you just leave a few relievers off. You put your starters in the bullpen, and they cover more innings. It kind of helps if one starter goes short or if the game goes longer than what you want. I think, but the Orioles, they're a great team, 91-71. They're one of the better teams in baseball right now. I mean, there's three-headed monster in the AL, but like realistically, all 6 teams could catch fire and win the World Series. But yeah, I just had the Orioles taking that one. Looking at the NL, we'll only look at the 2 teams. Because the Braves, we don't know. So if Braves, make it, it'll be Max Fried starting game 1, Charlie Moore and Ronaldo Lopez starting pitching the next, few games, and they'll be on short rest, like really short rest. So it'll be probably like a bullpen. So, funny enough, the reason why this is cut off, my phone really ran out of storage, and so it cut the recording right there. I don't really know what point of the baseball talk I got to. We're gonna cut it there. Braves did beat the Mets in the doubleheader, 3-0. So the Braves will play the Padres, the Mets will play the Brewers. It was kind of tragic because the episode was like an hour and 30-something minutes long, and it cut it a half an hour in. So this time through might not be that long. Because I really contemplated re-recording it, but there probably won't be a recording next week because the day I record is my birthday, and so depending if I work Sunday or not, there might be or might not be a recording. So yeah, it's really tragic. But I also just found out Pete Rose just died. So we're gonna start off with the NFL as usual. Cowboys beat the Giants 20-15. Cowboys lost DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons. DeMarcus Lawrence is on the IL and will probably miss most of the season. Micah Parsons has a high ankle strain. He'll just miss a few weeks. The Giants don't look good. They have no running attack. Malik Neighbors and Wandale Robinson look like a good one too. Defensively, meh. But the Cowboys losing, what's his face? Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. Those are 2 top pass rushers. You're down your number 2 corner. That's huge. You have no running attack. I mean, they were talking about it beforehand that they played best from ahead because DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons can pin their ears back and kind of go after the quarterback. Now you don't have those guys. It's really huge. I wasn't sold on the Cowboys already. I didn't think they were going to be that good because, again, no running attack. They have no depth. And the defense looked soft. They did at the end of last year, and I said this for over a year now, that they've looked soft. And then, everyone's seeing it now. And now you lose to the guys. No, Michael Parsons hasn't done much. I mean, the brother has, 11 tackles, 1 sack. This hasn't looked good. He was originally drafted as an inside linebacker. Personally, I'd move him back in there because pass rushing wise, yes, he can go nuts, but at the same time, his athleticism can be used at the inside. And these are empty sacks because they start the season out playing big games, and he is not. He's recorded 1 sack. So, just fits my narrative that Michael Parsons, and it's on the TikTok and Instagram page, is overrated. Next is the Falcons beat New Orleans. I don't really know who New Orleans is. This team played great through 2 weeks and has sucked the next 2. Granted, they've only lost by 5 points, but, it's still. Chris Olave is finally popping off. Rashid Shaheed is a great number 2. They were down 3 linebackers, so they only had Petit Turner, who's from Ohio State, and then Willie Gay. They didn't get much of a pass rush, so neither did the Falcons. But there's 2 of the 3 teams that are competing for the division title, unless the Saints are pretenders, like some people thought. Because Bijan Robinson hasn't gotten going yet to start the season, so still waiting to see that. Kirk threw a pick. But both Monday night games are going on. The original hope was to have this done before the Monday night games were going on, so I wasn't watching them as they were going, and I could watch them afterwards and do some studying. But I got kicked in the butt. But I've cleared up 30 gigabytes of storage that I weekly do. The Bears beat the Rams, and the Rams have just been decimated by injuries. Tutu Atwell had 82 yards receiving. Jordan Whittington had 62 yards receiving. They're starting to develop and show off. DeAndre Swift was great. He had a touchdown on 93 yards rushing and 16 carries. He had 7 catches for 72 yards. They had 3 sacks. Neither team's defense. I'd say the Bears have better defense than the Rams. Yes, they have Jared Verse and Brandon Fisk and Byron Turner and Kobe Turner and, Kobe Durant and stuff. But, again, nobody really stands out to me. They traded their top tackler away in preseason, which I never understood why they went and extend him. Because Aaron Donald steals off the books, unless he was wanting that much more money. But DJ Moore finally got his first touchdown pass. This will probably be a lot quicker because it all left my brain and it's now all gone. As you can tell, it's kind of deflating to have that all just because I came to look at my phone to pull it off the thing and I was like, oh, my screen's black. And it said, yeah, storage was full, and I was like, oh, that's fantastic. But Vikings beat the Packers 31-29. About blew it. Packers scored 22 points in the fourth quarter. Sam Darnold had 3 touchdowns on 275 yards passing and a pick. Jordan Love had 4 touchdowns, 3 picks on 389 yards passing. The Packers' rushing attack wasn't that good. 9 carries, 51 yards, but at the same time wasn't they probably should have evened it. They should have balanced it out a little bit more. Aaron Jones, 22 carries, 93 yards, beats his former team. This is the first game so far that Jay Jettas, Addison, and Naylor have all been healthy together. And Addison and Jefferson both caught touchdown passes. Jaden Reed showing that he is a true number 1 receiver. I believe it. I think he's a bit of a Tyreek Hill make. Tavian Wicks had 2 touchdown catches. Really no pass rush. Quay Walker, Keyshawn Nixon had sacks for the Packers. Pat Jones had a sack for the Vikings. Greenard's not really done much so far. Also, that 1 week, the Packers have a talented defense, but they've had talented defenses for years now, and so they haven't done anything. The Titans are beating the Dolphins at the end of the first quarter 3-0. Mason Rudolph is playing. I think Mason Rudolph is the quarterback right now. Yeah. Mason Rudolph is the starting quarterback. How do they get the ball back so quick? It's 1st and 10 with them. Okay. Yeah, so they benched Will Levis. And like I said, Will Levis is not that good. I mean, like, again, brother, 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. You look at his career last year, he had 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He has 12 total touchdowns on 9 picks. Again, I said this was going to happen. And it did. I mean, he's just been bad. I mean, through 3 games, he only has 579 yards passing, and that's unexcusable with the receiving talent they had. I mean, the Titans GM made some moves. Granted, now the running back room isn't great, but the offensive line's mid. The defense looks really good. They have D-Hop. They have Tyler Boyd. They have Calvin Ridley. They have Treylon Burks. Chigakonkwo. Still nothing. Dolphins are on their 4th quarterback of the season because Skylar Thompson and Tua is hurt. And Tim Boyle is just there to eat space because there's no reason why that brother should be in the league. The Steelers finally lost the game. They lost to the Colts. Justin Fields played his butt off. 312 passing yards with 1 touchdown. He had 55 rushing yards with 55 rushing yards with 2 touchdowns. Joe Flacco came in for Anthony Richardson, who it's worrying because Anthony Richardson may get hurt so often that it stunts his development. It's something you don't want to see. But Joe Flacco came in through 2 touchdowns. Anthony Richardson's talented. But the issue is, like, Cam, because he draws Cam comparisons, Cam was bulky. Anthony Richardson is not bulky. And also, Cam's career was not long, and I think he dealt with injuries later on because I think that the hits he took early on in his career, and then Cam's mechanics kind of fell apart. Like, Cam, towards the end of it, was not the Cam he was before. And yes, he was still, like, early 30s, but, like, he won't admit it, and he probably will down the road, but the toll he took early on in his career probably most likely affected him. But mind you, he had, like, a load of starts. He played, like, 3 or 4 years of college football. So did Anthony Richardson, but he only had, like, he's only in, like, start 20 outside of high school. Or from high school on. Which is crazy to think. He started 1 year of high school. He started half a season at Florida, and then he barely played in the NFL. I just want to look at that to back that up. Yeah, 8 games in NFL. I'm not going to tell me the games he played in college. But he didn't play too much. Of course, he's always been turnover prone. That was the issue when he was at Florida. As he threw the ball to other people too much. But Josh Downs had a touchdown. Drew Ogletree had a touchdown. The Colts are going to be the second best team in that division in the AFC South. Pittsburgh has Baltimore coming back at him. And I honestly think Baltimore's better. I just think with the Derrick Henry, I think Baltimore has more depth. I think with Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson's better than Justin Fields. I mean, because really it's George Pickens, and it's a tight Pat Freiermuth, and then who else? I'm not sold on Calvin Austin yet. Defensively, they're aging, kind of like how that offensive line did a few years ago. And Minka Fitzpatrick had a good thing. He said a wise thing, and I just watched this happen. You can't be violent in this sport, and you can't be hitting people hard now because we're too worried about people getting hurt. The thing about playing a sport is you're going to get hurt at some point. That's sports. And the fact that we're trying to take it out, and I guess I get the brain part, but like the other parts, like you got to make a play. Like Jalen Phillips was knocked down to his feet. He slipped and fell, and he gets Will Levis by the legs, roughing the passer. What? Like, what is he supposed to do? Stop, stand up, and then hit him? I believe that people who are in the front office has probably never played a lick of football, and never put their minds in a football player's position where it's like, when you're on the ground, you're not thinking of getting up. You're thinking of make a play. And I don't think that they're understanding that. Like, the hip drop tackle, I understood it, but at the same time, it's like guys aren't doing it intentionally. Now, that there are some, but they aren't doing it intentionally. They're just trying to tackle a brother. and you're taking that out. I think quarterbacks are too babied because they make so much money. They make too much money. I was talking to somebody at work where they're like, yeah, they make a lot. They make too much money, and I full-heartedly agree because when they get hurt now, the whole league is like, like what are we gonna do? And it's like, well, I think we saw last year, backups are gonna be important, and I think there's a market for quality backup quarterbacks in this league. But moving forward, probably this game was brutal. And just like I said, you can't take injuries out of sports. Tyler Babby got hit in the back on a routine tackle, side/back, walks to the sidelines, falls over on his back, and is like, no one really explained really what happened, but he just fell. He was put on a stretcher, neck brace, and rushed to the hospital. He has all feeling in his extremities, but it's tragic to see. I think he's going to be fine. But like that, you can't take that out of football. People will be like, that is more alarming than an ACL tear because somebody just fell. And we're talking about head injuries. Some guys just get hurt easier. Helmet technology is getting a lot better. You can't take certain things out of the game. I think that's something that's worrying about football. It's like getting created as too violent of a sport when in the first place it is a very violent sport. But you had pads and there were rules, and now we're trying to micromanage the game too much to where it's not fun. Like we're having, reviews go for too long, penalties on stupid stuff go on, and the refs are playing too much of a factor in the game, and then when you rely on the ref, they don't make a call. And so I think that's ruining sports. But back to the Broncos Jets. Bo Nix threw his first touchdown. He only had 60 yards passing. I mean, they had less than 200 yards of offense, and somehow the Jets lost. Now Aaron Rodgers is kind of caught that he was not on the same page as his receiving corps. And again, I sadly don't think Robert Saleh will make it. The back and forth shots of who should take responsibility of whatever, and I think it's on both Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh, even though Aaron Rodgers will throw it all back at Robert Saleh. But Aaron Rodgers has been there for 2 years. If he showed up with the team when he was with them for most of last year, he probably could have built the chemistry. Because the only new guy there is Mike Williams. So, you've had Allen Lazard for years. You were there with Garrett Wilson last year. Yes, you were hurt for the whole season, but at the same time, you should be able. You've had all off season. There's no reason that you'd be blaming the receivers like that. Breece Hall played terrible. 10 carries, 4 yards. That's abysmal. His longest carry was 3 yards. They couldn't run the ball. Braylon Allen had 8 carries for 34 yards. I think Braylon Allen's a better pure running back. I think Breece Hall's a better receiving back. Defensively, they had no pressure. Will McDonald had nothing. Javon Kinlaw had a tackle. It's just bad. It was just bad. It was a bad game. Very, very rough game to watch. Titans are still 3-0. Moving forward, the Bucks shellacked the Eagles. Jalen Hurts, I can't tell if he's not good anymore or if it's offense. Because he lost all of his coordinators, if it's just the scheme. Now, credit, he's down his top 2 receivers. But, they shellacked them. Just beat the brakes off of him. Baker Mayfield had 347 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bucky Irving had 10 carries and 49 yards and a touchdown. Rashad White had 10 carries, 49 yards. You're looking at this and you're like, ooh. Now, the Buccaneers have the best receiving corps in the NFC South. And I think the Eagles are the long-term favorite of the NFC East. But they've got to get more out of Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, and Bryce Huff. And Cooper DeJean at some point's got to play meaningful downs in defense. Vita Vea had a sack. Logan Hall had a sack. Yaya Dabi had a sack. He was pretty good last year. It's just like, Vontae David had 2 sacks. Yes, they're down Lane Johnson, but there's no excuse for that. The NFC East is an interesting division because there's nobody that's clearly good in that division. New York sucks. Dallas is soft. Can't run the ball. And they're down their 2 top pass rushers. They're down their number 2 corner. Philadelphia just looks chaotic, discombobulated in every which way possible. Like they don't have their feet up under like they lost that crucial game, and it's just like just everything went back to last year. And it's just like there's like, huh? Washington looks good. It's just I don't think they have the offensive weapons just yet to do it. But if Jaden Daniels keeps balling out, then they may run away with it. I mean, they're in the division lead right now. And we'll talk about that game real quick first. I mean, they shellacked the Cardinals 42-14. I mean, Jaden Daniels back-to-back games of having an over 80% completion percentage. Brian Robinson is a dog. 21 carries, 101 yards, and a touchdown. Jeremy Nichols looked great. 8 carries, 68 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jaden McDaniels ran for a touchdown. And this was the issue with the Cardinals. The passing attack probably isn't going to be that good. Michael Wilson is not a good number 2. Greg Dorick is not a good number 3. Elijah Higgins is not what they wanted him to be. So you're going to have to draft another corner because you've got your quarterback. Kyler Murray's him. You just got to get another receiver to put across from him. And so you see where you drop and you fall to the draft order. I'm trying to think of a guy that they could take. Ibuka from Ohio State. Let me look. Because it'd be interesting. Who's the tight end receivers? Yeah, McMillan, Luther Burden, Bond, Trey Harris. So I mean, there are some guys. It's not as deep as this year's past class, but like I think they probably get the 4th pick. And that most definitely you go get McMillan. McMillan's going to be a deep threat, big target in the red zone. Definitely. That is a guy, if I'm the Cardinals, I'm like hoping I fall to and get. Zacchaeus led the Commanders in passing yards and receiving yards. That's crazy. Because he hasn't been that good since he was with the Falcons. But Carolina and the Bengals. Bengals finally won a game, 34-24. Andy Dalton and Joe Burrow had darn near identical stats. Chase Brown broke out again with the Bengals, 15 carries, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. They needed that bad because they've had no rushing attack to start the year. Miles Sanders' fall-off needs to be studied because he got his bag, went to Carolina, and it sucked. Like, it's not even good because Chuba Hubbard's passed him. He got 18 carries, 104 yards, and a touchdown that game. And he's pretty good. I mean, Chuba Hubbard is mid at best. So, yeah, Xavier Legette got his first touchdown. Dante Johnson got another one. This is the first real game we've seen Jamar Chase and T. Higgins together. And they looked solid, but, I mean, again, the offensive line's a bit of an issue. Like Pittsburgh's offensive line. Pittsburgh's offensive line, they're down like 4 of their starting offensive linemen. So another reason why I'm not big on Pittsburgh. I talked about it when I was previously recorded. It's just been decimated by injuries. And a lot of guys are going to miss half the whole seasons. So, again, the Bengals never had a good offensive line. Their front seven's pretty good. Because I like Trey Hendrickson, Joseph Osai, Sam Hubbard. Both of those guys, I think, came from... Sam Hubbard's always been with the Bengals. He's not the pass rusher he once was when drafted out of Ohio State. Which is crazy. The Panthers lost Shaq Thompson too, and to another season-ending injury. He's probably going to be a free agent. I would not put it past him to retire, because that's just brutal. He's been in the league for forever. To have those kind of injuries, most of the people he was drafted with are already gone. So. Now on to probably one of the worst teams in football, Jaguars versus the Texans. Texans are 3-1. I think they win the AFC South by a landslide. But the Jaguars are terrible. I think Doug Peterson has to go. You can't move off Trevor Lawrence. It's a newer deal. So I guess you rebuild around him and you just hope and pray that he develops. You find he hits his potential because Doug Peterson ain't it. Doug Peterson's just not him. That 1 year, and then it's just been downhill from there. I don't never understand why they cut Zay Jones. And I'm pretty sure he's in Arizona, and he's not playing in Arizona, so that might mean something. But Zay Jones was a dog for a few years, and they just cut him. Brian Thomas is a good receiver, probably a number one receiver in the league, but Tank Bigsby and ETN, don't get me started on ETNs. Bigsby with 7 carries, 90 yards, solid. Cam Akers and J.J. Taylor were the 2 running backs for the Texans. Nico Collins has gone nuts, 12 catches, 151 yards, and a touchdown. Tank Dell did not have a reception or a target. I don't know why that is, which is interesting because if he's hurt, that is tragic. Yeah, he's hurt. That is tragic. Yeah, because he's in my fantasy team. I think Dell's situation is interesting because, like, no one really knows if he's going to return to the level of production he had last year because, like, you know, breaks his fibula, gets shot, crazy, like, few months, and it's just like no one knows if he's going to return to his before injury play, and so it's going to be very interesting. 49ers, rightfully so, beat the Patriots. Patriots just, I think, the worst team now. I'll probably with the Jaguars in football. Terrible offensive line. Can't run the ball. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson's solid, but, like, at the same time, like, he's still not great. He only played 2 years of college ball. And he's drafted. Okay, that fact that he got drafted with those little college stats is crazy. He must have had a crazy combine. But sidetrack. I mean, Antonio Gibson's pretty much a glorified receiver for them. 3 catches, 76 yards as the running back, leading the team in receptions. They're hoping Polk eventually develops. What did he have in college? Because, like, I'm just not sold. He had 1,000 yards last year, but, like, outside of that, he had none. He had maybe 1,000 yards the first 3 years combined. It just does not. Again, it's this offensive line so bad you can't do anything else but pass the ball or run the ball. So I mean, can't really blame them for that. But at the same time, it's like he had 7 targets and only had 3 catches. Okay. Also, Keishon Butte, who brother is barely in the league. Juwan Jennings had led the team in receiving yards for the 49ers with Deebo Samuels, Ayuk, and Kittle all playing. Ayuk, ever since having his Diva party in the offseason, has done squat. Jordan Mason looking like a really good running back. 24 carries on 123 yards and a touchdown. I mean, they're fine without McCaffrey right now. Not that they most definitely enjoy it. They'd probably be 3-1, but you know, Brock Purdy should have had 4 touchdowns in this game, but 3 of them were called back. Defensively, they teed off. I mean, Nick Bosa had a sack. Kevin Givens had 2.5. Mikael Collins had a sack. Evan Anderson had a sack. That's a feast on poor Jacoby Brissett. That's why they refuse to play Drake May, is because Drake May will get butchered back there. Now, finally to the last 3 games. And the Seahawks game has just started. Tennessee's now up 6-0. Vegas beat Browns 20-16. And this is like the week after Deshaun said that, you know, he's getting paid to throw the ball, so he's not going to run the ball, even though that's what made him so good in Houston, which is mind-boggling. Because he's not good at throwing the ball. And they're really just holding on for dear life to hope that when Nick Chubb comes back, they can surge through. But, like, Nick Chubb had, like, an insane injury. So, like, if he comes back to 80% of what he was, that's good enough. I don't think it changes it much. Jerry Jeudy led the team in receiving yards, 6 catches, 72 yards. Pretty sure he was on a practice squad last year. Not sure. He's part of that insane receiving crew at Bama. And has done diddly squats since getting drafted. Devontae Smith is the only one because Ruggs is in jail. And really the Raiders should not have won. Minshew had 130 yards passing. They had 152 yards rushing, but like the touchdowns came from DJ Turner and Trey Tucker. 2 receivers. Samir White had 17 catches for 50 yards. Alexander Mattison had 5 carries for 60 yards. It's just the Raiders. They're winning too much. They need to lose some more. The Browns are. There's too many. Like there's no in between. I'll go over the teams who I think are the worst at the end. But moving on. This game is funny. The Chargers versus the Chiefs, because I'm not a big fan of Rashid Rice. And Mahomes blew Rashid Rice's knee out while tackling another guy. So Rashid Rice will finally miss the whole season. Even though he should have been suspended, but now he blows his knee out and then will probably be suspended for the next year. So, because he's got like 12 felony charges. Kareem Hunt took all of Carson Steele's carries, and I don't understand why. Carson Steele was pretty darn good last week, but Kareem Hunt had 14 carries for 69 yards. Samaje Perine got RB2 carries. But the Chargers, who are mid, their offensive line struggles with health. They could not run the ball. Herbert is a glorified game manager right now. And this is what I'm not a big fan of Harbaugh, because you're got a guy talented like Herbert and you're just not using it. Now, yes, the receiving core is going to take a minute to be rebuilt. And your top 3 guys are Quentin Johnston, who had 1 catch for 9 yards on 5 targets. Ladd McConkey, who looks like probably one of the better number 2 receivers in the league. He'll probably develop into. And then Joshua Palmer. It's just, dude, this team is bad. Not terrible, but bad. Yeah, dude, the Chiefs, I think it's going to be big, because now you're down to Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, and Juju, Sky Moore, and Justin Watson, and that squad struggled bad last year. And you give Xavier Worthy's drop prone. So, like, at some point, he's going to stop catching passes. And Travis Kelce's, like, 34? Yeah. Eventually, he's going to catch up to him. Looking at it right now. Is Juju hurt? No. But Hollywood Brown's already on the IR. And so, I mean, this team, their depth offensively is going to start whittling away, because the left tackle spot's an issue. Because the guy they drafted in the second round has struggled severely. And Wyatt Morris is not that great of a tackle, so, like, he's not holding up his end. But doing better, but, like, And on to the last game. Baltimore beat the brakes off of the Bills. The Bills just had no offense. James Cook killed me in fantasy because he only had 39 yards of total offense. Well, 48. Khalil Shakur had 62 yards. Keon Coleman had 51. Keon Coleman at some point is going to have to break out. He's just been more quiet, because Khalil Shakur, I mean, is giving him the run for his money as the number 1 receiver. Ray Davis all of a sudden got number 2 running back carries. What? Okay. I will never understand that. Lamar Jackson had 156 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, rushing touchdown. Derrick Henry had 24 carries for 199 yards and a touchdown. Justin Hill led the team in receiving yards. The Ravens are an interesting team, because Mark Andrews, I think, has 65 yards of total offense. It's not looked good. He's only, 29? That's getting up there, but, like, that injury's really good. He's had 2 years where he's missed time with injuries, and I think it's finally catching up to him. And Isaiah Likely, outside of week 1, has not been that good. He's got 50-something yards in 3 games since. Kyle Van Noy's got another 2 sacks. He's up to 6 this season. He's second career most. And he's second in the league. It's like wild. That at 33 he's doing that. But I mean, who knew? Who knew Kyle Van Noy could be the elite pass rusher? Apparently, we'll have to see how long that lasts. But looking at standings. The Jets are trying to stay in touch with the Bills. The Patriots aren't going to be anything. Miami's got to hold on for dear life. They've got to win tonight. They've just kicked a field goal, so they have to win. I think the Bengals are already out of the AFC North. I don't think they have enough to claw back the 2 games and beat Baltimore twice and beat the Steelers twice. The Browns are one of the worst teams in the league. So is the Patriots. So is Jaguar and the Titans. The Raiders need to quick. Giants are mid. Panthers I don't understand yet, and the Cardinals are mid. I don't understand the Panthers if they're going to be a scrappy team or if they're going to be terrible. Texans, the AFC South, like the Colts are just going to be easily the number 2 team in that division because Lord Almighty, the Titans and the Jaguars are terrible. I mean, just atrocious. There's no, I mean, like the Titans are going to be fighting for the quarterback. And I think Jalen Milroe is the best quarterback in the draft. I want to look at who's. Yeah, I mean, Cam Warner, forgot about him. Drew Allard, Jackson Dart, Miller Moss. I mean, this is a deep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys. I'm not sold on Drew Allard or Jackson Dart, but Miller Moss is great game manager. Connor Wigman's dog crap. The fact he's in the top 100 prospects is crazy because that brother's trash. I mean, just terrible. It'll be interesting how this draft class kind of shakes out towards the end, as the season goes on. The Chiefs are going to easily win theirs. The NFC East is going to be interesting. NFC North is. The NFC East is going to be interesting because, like, if no one stops the Commanders, they're going to run away with it. NFC South is going to be. All the NFC divisions are going to be interesting. Seattle's playing. Seattle's already losing 7-0, which is kind of big. Yeah, because David Montgomery is my fantasy guy. He's going nuts. But we're going to go to the NFL Dudes of the Week. There's only 5 of them. Starting off, C.J. Stroud. 345 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. They needed that. They got blown out the week before, so it was kind of big. Nico Collins, 12 catches, 151 yards, and a touchdown. This dude leads the NFL in receiving yards by over 100. And then third is DeAndre Swift, 16 carries, 93 yards, 1 touchdown, 7 catches, 72 yards receiving. Wild. Because everyone was wanting his head last week, saying he shouldn't be a starter, shouldn't even be in the NFL. And he showed that he should be. I just think he has to be on an average or better team when he's on a below average team, which the Lions were when he was there. And now the Bears are just not that good, but he is explosive. And guys that are that explosive, you got to create holes for them. And I think if they can build a better offensive line on the Bears, then he can take off. I still can't get over that bench Will Levis. But back to Dudes of the Week. Baker Mayfield's 4th, 347 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's played great so far. I mean, the brother is insane. And then Derrick Henry breaking out for the season because he looked kind of rough for the first few weeks. 24 carries, 199 yards, and 1 touchdown. Will Levis is hurt. I just saw that on the bottom ticker. But, yeah, Derrick Henry, it's a great performance. Had an 87-yard run. Dude went nuts. So, it's huge that he kind of went out because I think their offense is going to predicate on him being able to be the back he once was. And so he's not a receiving back, so it's only ground and pound. So, moving to the college football side of the things, we're going to start off with this UNLV because it's big. Matt Sluka was redshirted and is now transferred. He said he was promised $100,000 in NIL, and he said he only got 3 for relocation. And there's a corporate group that runs the UNLV's NIL thing, and they said that deal never came across. It was never offered, nothing. Okay? And then the athletic department and school said that again, no assistant coach ever made that deal. But their agent swears up and down that deal happened. So either that coach made it and is lying to both sides, or that it was rumored Matthew Sluka heard there's $100,000 available, thought he deserved it, wanted it, didn't get it, is now leaving because he thought he played so well, which is funny because UNLV just blew out Fresno State 59-14. But if this is where NIL gets messy. It's malpractice. It's bad business. It's a lot of verbal contracts not in writing, and it's going to get out of hand. And there needs to be some structure to it. There needs to be a cap. There needs to be something that would hold it because, like Jackson Dart, the money's getting to his head. Shedeur Sanders, the money's getting to his head. And it's, guys, he transferred. So you only wanted to be here for the money. Okay, well, then why should anybody else bring you in there? Because you're not a team player at that point. You show that you don't really care about football. You just want the money that comes with it. But they're not missing him because their backup, I'm not saying the first part of his name, Malik Williams was 13-16 for 182 yards, 3 touchdowns, 12 carries, 119 yards and a touchdown. They beat the brakes off of Fresno State. He was great. Great for them. They needed that badly. And it shows that they're going to be fine. Now, do I think UNLV's going to make the playoffs? No. But, that's still good. And then starting off the weekend, Friday night was wild. Miami was getting mollywopped by Virginia Tech. They come back. They go up 38-34. And then Virginia Tech throws a deep pass. It gets caught, but it moves after he's down. And they said it's incomplete. And I think it's crap. And I went on a rant the last episode, pre-recording of this episode, where I was like, you shouldn't let the refs. I think I even said the refs are having too much control of the game. And this is where it is. That was a touchdown. Virginia Tech should have won that game. Sugar Sean is and I forgot that card was kind of boring. But Sugar Sean, in the center, but Sugar Sean was like, yeah, I won so many rounds and I should have won. Blah blah blah. Virginia Tech should have beat Miami. They had all the right too. But Cam Ward, he played like a dog. He had 343 yards, 4 touchdowns. Came back. It's insane. And we're going to talk about the Georgia game. Georgia, so first off, I want to say Georgia doesn't have that awful first quarter. They probably win this game. But you had 2 weeks, pretty much 3, because Georgia plays Tennessee Tech 3 weeks before Bama to prepare. And you go down 30-7 just first half. Milroe has over 100 yards passing in the first quarter, has over 100 yards rushing in the first half. He's darn near perfect through the first half. It's kind of ridiculous. Like that is just on Kirby at that point for defensively, because he's a defensive-minded coach. That you failed your team. You did not prepare. And I will say Kirby's one of the better coaches in the league, greatest coach in the league right now, but he failed his team. He failed them preparation-wise. He failed them getting them ready because they did not look good coming out. They threw 2 interceptions in the first half. Carson Beck looked slow. Defensively, they could not make a play. Georgia does not have much of a running game right now. For whatever reason, they're not going to play Nate Frazier, who broke out against Clemson, who I think is probably the better back outside of Roderick Robinson. Because Trevor Etienne, 12 carries, 55 yards, cool. His largest carry was 12 yards. 4.6 yards per carry. Not enough to where they build confidence in them. Now, yes, they were put from behind early, so they couldn't lean on the run. But still. And there was 2 guys. You come into this game, you're like, okay, you've got to stop them both. It's just 2 dudes, right? Well, and 1.5. You make Jalen Milroe beat you with his arm. And he's still a really good pocket passer, but don't let him beat you with your legs. And then you make him go to anybody but Ryan Williams. Well, Ryan Williams had 6 catches for 177 yards and a touchdown. And that's a game-winning touchdown. And Julian Humphrey should have PI'd the brother, but Julian Humphrey's an idiot. And I wish he was not on Georgia because he tried to enter the transfer. He entered the transfer portal twice this past offseason and came back both times because he wasn't happy about something. The brother needs to go. PI him. You're getting mossed. Do something. Defend yourself. And then try to make a tackle instead of getting just made fun of on social media. That was terrible. And then Malik Starks being lost on the 2-point conversion. And then Georgia's marching back down the field. And, we're making progress. You're like, oh, okay, they've got this. 25 yards out. 43 seconds left. 2 timeouts. What do? Throw a 25-yard fade? Huh? And if you're going to throw a 25-yard fade, there's just way to say it's either the receiver's going to catch it or nobody's going to catch it. He allowed the corner to catch it. The corner got up and got it, but it was not over everybody's head. It was short. Carson Beck. So there's 3 guys this loss is responsible on. Kirby, because the team was not prepared. And I've said this all before at work. Georgia's second half team because they kind of fill you out and then they kind of will make adjustments on you. And they did, obviously. But you were so unprepared to start the game that you couldn't stop a high school team from running the ball and moving it up and down the field. Then Carson Beck, because, you have 439 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, but you also have 3 picks. 2 of them were bad. And then Mike Bobo, why are you calling a 25-yard fade? Get down to the 10-yard line and then run a 10-yard out or fade with Colby Young, who was getting the 25-yard fade, but like it's happened before. You run that 10-yard fade with Colby Young, you throw it to the inner pylon or over top. Colby Young's either going to catch it, it's incomplete, and most of the time he catches it. But what do? You try to get too greedy with it because, like hypothetically, say Georgia gets it. They kick the field goal, it's 41-41. There's 40 seconds on the clock. All Bama has to, and they have 3 timeouts, all Bama has to do is drive down to like their 35 or 40 yard line and kick a field goal and win it. So like that was just bad. Like that was dumb. It was just dumb. Now, yes, Georgia was missing Michael Williams and Tate Ratledge, but for a team of this stature, that's no excuse. I think Georgia's the 3rd best team in the SEC behind Alabama and Texas at the time. I think we're better than Tennessee. Tennessee does not impress me. Yeah, they put up high stats, but it's against nobodies. Like, they barely beat Oklahoma, and Oklahoma had an abysmal offense. 10 points, but, like, there's 15 points scored in one quarter, and you were taking the foot off the gas. If you're taking the foot off the gas, I don't like you because you're too much of a pansy. It's not, that's football. You don't take the foot off the gas. If you're as good as you say you are, blow them out. I'm tired of seeing we took the foot off the gas. Scored 25 points. That's not impressive. Auburn scored 21 against them. Like, okay, is your offense on the same as Auburn? But that's that. I think Jalen Milroe is the number 1 quarterback in the country. I think he's the Heisman favorite. I think he probably wins the Heisman. I don't know why Georgia's got such a terrible schedule where they've got to play Alabama, Ole Miss, Texas, and Tennessee. I think if Georgia beats, they're probably going to beat Ole Miss because they got beat by Kentucky. And we're definitely beating Tennessee because it's at home. If we keep the game close against Texas, we maybe get into playoffs. But like at the same time, we're not going to play in the SEC championship game. So it's just bad, dude. It's just off. We fumbled it hard. It was not good. But going on to it, I'm covering less games than last time because I'm all winded out. Kentucky beat Ole Miss 20-17. Ole Miss just looked confused. They had no answer to what Kentucky was doing defensively. Ole Miss's offensive line did not look good. Jackson Dart looked rattled towards the end. Brock Vandegrift just made plays when needed to be, and Dane Key was a dog. Like, they needed him massively. Trey Harris had himself a game, but, like, it's still a losing effort. 11 catches, 176 yards, and a touchdown. Georgia had 200-yard receivers, but we're not talking about that game anymore. So, yeah, Kentucky might just be a problem. Like, Kentucky just might be a problem. Arizona beat Utah. They don't have Cam Rising. Michigan barely beat Minnesota. Donovan Edwards has lost his carries, and it's weird. I went in this game when pre-recorded, and I'm not going in it again. It's weird what's going on with Michigan right now because they can't throw the ball, and their guy that's supposed to be their best back is now their number 2 back. But Kansas State beat the crap out of Oklahoma State, 42-20. Ollie Gordon does not look good. Alan Bowman should be out of football. Avery Johnson and DJ Giddens went nuts, and we'll cover them dudes of the week. But they went insane. But the last little bit, Florida State got mollywopped by SMU. They put Brock Glenn in, and that's either because they were getting beat so bad they put in the backups, or they just pulled DJ Uiagalelei. Either way, it's terrible. Florida State's awful. There's no excuse. You go undefeated in 1-4. That's on coaching at this point. Like losing for guys it was not you that made that team 16-0. It was the players. And now they're all gone. Arkansas barely lost to A&M. Arkansas and A&M are scrappy teams. Marcel Green looks good. Marcel Reed looks good. Taylor Green for Arkansas is good as well. Navy's undefeated. James Madison destroyed Ball State 63-7. That's pretty much it. Now, dudes of the week, we already covered. Malik Williams was insane. Right, like the dude had himself a game. There's not much more you can say about it. UNLV will be fine. Number 2 is Dane Key. 8 catches, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. He just made plays when plays needed to be made, pretty much. And that's what you want to see from a guy like that. And then 2, Avery Johnson at 259 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Yeah, you got to include that. 5 carries, 60 yards, 2 touchdowns. 5 total touchdowns responsible with him. Insane. And then his running back, both of these guys have been on duty the week before. DJ Giddens, 15 carries, 187 yards, and a touchdown. He also had a catch for like 9 yards. DJ Giddens is a pretty darn good running back. I don't know. This running back class, I think this year draft class is better. And Donovan Edwards isn't even in the top 100. Probably takes a COVID year. Neither is DJ Giddens. I want to know if DJ Giddens. What years? He's a junior, draft eligible. He probably stays another year. Moving on, Cam Ward, 343 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. Brought the team back, carried them back. Miami ain't anything without Cam Ward. So, this is dude of the week. I've been wanting to give it to him. Ashton Jeanty, another former dude of the week. Almost has 1,000 yards rushing, 26 carries on 259 yards rushing, with 4 touchdowns. I mean, it's him and Jalen Milroe for Heisman right now. Because, again, Nico's done nothing against anybody. Next up, Ryan Williams, the 17-year-old, 6 catches, 177 yards, 1 touchdown. Brother just was an issue. Jalen Milroe, 374 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 16 carries, 117 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, he just picked apart Georgia in the first half, built a big enough gap that, took advantage of it. And finally, Travis Hunter, 9 catches, 89 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. That is pretty darn good. But today, the original episode was like hour and 40. This will probably be an hour and 15. Because it's later now. I just got studying to do. And I was on a roll. My thoughts are gone. So, thank you all for watching this episode. Maybe an episode out next week. Don't know. Depends if I work Sunday. But see y'all next time.